This year's Grammys were a free-for-all. While it was not as flashy or crazy as last year's with a smaller, more focused field of competitors, I think for the most part they did spread the love all around. We had some real shockers, solid performances, and I'm just going to touch on who won big, who got shut out, and who surprised us. This is kind of like loose and informal, so I'm gonna get it out of the way. The big winner of tonight was Bad Bunny, who won Album of the Year, the first ever non-English album to ever do it, and Best Musica Urbana Album for DTMF. This is his third win in that previous category that I mentioned. He started his first speech with Ice Out to standing ovation before giving a really touching speech about hate and thanking God in the Academy. His lines about how we're human and how we're Americans just hits really hard in these tough times. Bad Bunny also won Best Global Music Performance for EO right before the show happened. Sadly, he could not perform due to obligations tied to his Super Bowl performance next week, though Trevor Noah did bait him into singing just a few bars. Bad Bunny's second speech was entirely in Spanish, and it was partially dedicated to Puerto Rico and victims of gentrification. Those were big themes of the album. I think the album definitely deserved to win. I was personally pulling for Mayhem, but he should have already won for Un Verano Sin Ti if you ask me. Next Sunday's Super Bowl is definitely going to be like a victory lap for him. I'd say that the other two big winners of the evening, or at least the telecast, were Lady Gaga and Kendrick Lamar. Kendrick Lamar won really big right before the show happened. He took home Best Rap Song for TV Off, Best Melodic Rap with SZA for Luther, and Best Rap Performance with Clips, Pusha T, and Malice for Chains and Whips. I found it odd that he did not perform this year, which felt like a big missed opportunity and a gap for the show's producers. On the telecast, Kendrick won Best Rap Album for GNX, which completed the sweep across the entire genre, and he even took home Record of the Year, which was presented by the legendary Cher, who received the Lifetime Achievement Award and confusingly left stage. He won for Luther with SZA, a consecutive back-to-back win for him and a first-time win for SZA. He let his producer Soundwave speak, and he also paid tribute to the late and great Luther Vandross, whose estate had graciously let him sample the song. I really loved SZA's note about despair and hope. I thought that was a beautiful moment. He won the most tonight. In terms of numbers of awards, he won 5, and he now has 27 wins, which is an all-time record for rappers. Lady Gaga's Mayhem took home a lot of wins even before the show started. Circuit won Producer of the Year, Non-Classical. Gesaffelstein won Best Remix Recording for his rework of Abracadabra, and Abracadabra itself won Best Dance Pop Recording. It now joins Padam Padam and Von Dutch as the third winner of this newish kind of category. During the show, her performance of Abracadabra was one for the books. It was a classic Gaga, the outfit. It was a very feathery Alexander McQueen ensemble that really oozed drama and mystique. I thought that she brought vocals, focusing on her skills on the keys, and she was really stripped down to just her music. She's never sounded better. The explosive bridge recast her as this sort of like rock goddess witch. I thought the camera work was really innovative and insane. It felt really intimate. Side note, I attended the Mayhem Requiem one night show, and while it's not the same version as that show had, it actually reminded me a bit of how she rebent and rearranged the album for that one-time show. You can read my review on Substack. I did a review of that show there. Gaga collected Best Pop Vocal Album for Mayhem, which I thought was a celebration of the awesome year that she's had. It's a reflective work that touched on her early stylings while also touching on her current strengths. With tonight's wins, she has 16 Grammys, which makes her the woman with the 5th most wins in history, tied with Adele. I still wish that she had won something in the general field. Those would be Song, Record, or Album of the Year. She has yet to win there ever, but eventually someday I think she will. As for Best New Artist, I thought this year was just extremely stacked. It was hard to kind of even predict who would win, but Olivia Dean ended up winning, which tracks because I think she has the most momentum and the most hits. I would not be surprised if she won Album of the Year and other big categories next year. The Best New Artist medley performance started with the Marias, who I thought killed it with No One Noticed, and then we got Addison's performance of Fame as a Gun, which started with her riding off the back of a truck and then doing this acrobatic backstage performance. I really love the dance sequence at the end. I think it's quintessential Britney Spears pop star. I just felt like the vocals were a little shaky, but the confidence and the star power towards the end made up for that. They really didn't let us breathe because Cat's Eye came in right after with Gnarly, bringing their performance to the main stage with some pretty impressive choreography and attitude. And then we got Leon Thomas, who slowed things down and ran it back to more analog sound, showcasing Mutt. Alex Warren performed Ordinary right after, and he started levitating at one point, which looked like SpongeBob in the Goofy Goober kind of performance. I thought it was a little too much for the song. He sounded a little bit off because apparently the sound equipment was not working. Lola Young was next, performing her breakout song Messy on the piano. I thought that it was one of the more inspired moments of the evening. The raspy, unique vocals that she has and the rawness that she had towards the end was just really good. You could tell that the mic was on. Olivia Dean was next with Man I Need. She's great per usual. She looked like a superstar. I think her performing skills are really solid for an artist, especially one that's quote unquote newer, even though she's been at it for a while. And then we had Somber at the very end, who closed things out with this electric performance of 12 for 12 with a sparkly outfit that kind of felt like reheated nachos of Benson Boone. I'm not the biggest Somber fan in the world, but I will admit that song is a bit catchy. But one thing was very apparent to me, like you could tell the difference between TikTok artists and artists that kind of developed on their own or worked through the system before they started. And I say that with no shade. I mean, like, for the most part, there were good performances, but you could tell who really, came into it with more of a background. As for the biggest surprise wins, which really just took me out, I think the first one that was like an absolute surprise for me, like I did not bet on it happening, was Lola Young winning for Best Pop Solo. I think it's a deserved win. I think the song is actually underrated, but it was just shocking considering both Gaga and Sabrina's nominations in the category. I think even Lola Young did not expect it at all. Her speech was very short and genuine and relatable. I've been following Young for a while. She's been struggling against a hate train and battling mental health as she blew up pretty quickly, and she sounded pretty gracious and just shell-shocked that she was even a winner. And for Song of the Year, it went to Billie Eilish's Wildflower in a jaw-dropping moment that really made up for last year because she got shut out entirely for the excellent Hit Me Hard and Soft. She didn't even get one for Birds of a Feather, which honestly shocked me because I thought that was a shoo-in for a win. Eilish took the time to really make the speech count and take her time and call out Ice. I thought it was just a total surprise. I thought it was going to go to Gaga or Bruno or even Bad Bunny, but it turns out it's kind of proof that the Grammys adore Eilish. She triumphed over frontrunners of the evening, and she has broken the record for most wins in that category. So now she's a 10-time winner at just 24 years old, and if you're confused as to how the song even qualified, its parent album, Hit Me Hard and Soft, did not win anything, so technically it was eligible so long as it was a single during the voting period. Don't look at me, the Grammy rules are just extremely confusing. Honestly, like, the Best New Artist thing with Gaga that happened a few years ago is a debacle on its own. So other winners included Amy Allen, who won her second consecutive Grammy for Songwriter of the Year, not classical. She had won last year primarily for her work on Sabrina Carpenter's monumental Short and Sweet, and she won again this year for her work on Man's Best Friend, Tate McRae's So Close to What, Bruno and Rose's Apatow. I didn't even know she had credits on Olivia Dean's So Easy or Jenny's solo record, but she's a certified hit maker, so I'm not surprised she won. I think that her hooks are some of her best contributions. They're ear candy. On the movie side, EJ and the team behind K-pop Demon Hunters won Best Song Written for Visual Media. It was nommed for both Best Pop Duo and Song of the Year. Best Pop Duo rightfully went to Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo for Defying Gravity, so that actually marks the first time in history that that song has won a Grammy. I just thought that it was great for a major awards body to recognize their joint effort as singers to give them a proper win. They had been nominated for Oscars last year for their acting performances, but I don't think they were properly rewarded with like an actual trophy for their contributions together as Glinda and Elphaba. I think it's like a kind of happy ending since they both got snubbed for Oscars for good. Continuing on the movie side of things, Steven Spielberg completed his EGOT by winning Best Music Film for Music by John Williams, which took me by surprise. I did not know that he could even EGOT. Best Music Video went to Doechie's Anxiety. My favorite film of last year, Sinners, took home Best Compilation Soundtrack and Best Score. I hope it takes Best Score at the Oscars this year. FKA Twigs took home Best Dance Pop Album for Eusexua, which was butchered in pronunciation by Darren Criss. I'm gonna insert a clip right here.
Exua, FKA Twigs.
I loved Eusexua. I think it's an overdue win for Twigs, who has never won a Grammy despite being robbed for the music video of Cellophane. Eusexua marks the second winner for the category after Charlie's Brat won last year. I thought it was really cool that in the R&B space, Kehlani won twice, taking home Best R&B Song and Performance for Folded, and she took time in her speech to rightfully condemn ICE. That seemed to be a theme of last night. Leon Thomas took home Best R&B Album for Mutt and Best Traditional R&B Performance for Vibes Don't Lie. On the country side of things, we got Jelly Roll winning for Beautifully Broken. No comment. Tyler, the Creator, delivered one of the coolest performances of the night. The transitions between Thought I Was Dead, Like Him, and Sugar on My Tongue, the sections were just very cinematic and killer. I think he killed off two alter egos. He is one of the finest performers of his generation. I had actually seen him on the Chromacopia tour earlier last year, so I'm aware of his game, but blowing up his set was just insane. I thought it was a cool reference to Marty Supreme, which he was in. Tyler's Chromacopia actually also won the inaugural Best Album Cover Grammy this year. Other cool wins that I noticed tonight were LaVey winning for Best Traditional Pop Vocal Album, Tyla's Push to Start for Best African Music Performance. But my favorite win of last night was finding out that Trevor Noah is retiring after 6 years of being a host, and that CBS, that evil network, is no longer carrying the Grammys next year. I don't know who's carrying it, but good riddance. I hate CBS. I hate Paramount. Fuck them. So yeah, this last section is snubs and losers, though honestly being nominated is a prize. I don't think there are any real losers, and this is very subjective, but anyway, I didn't expect Sabrina Carpenter to blank across the board. I actually thought that she was going to win for Best Pop Solo or Music Video, but I guess the Academy decided that she won way too much last year. Sabrina Carpenter performed her nominated hit Man-Child, which was up for a couple of awards. The airport-themed performance where the background dancers were in all sorts of uniforms, looked amazing. She served vocals and utter confidence. She's already had confidence, but like what she did here was just so polished. It felt like an A-list performance from a certified A-list pop star. I thought that the production value was next level. And if the tour looks anything like this, that Ticketmaster war is going to be hell. I personally ended up growing on Man's Best Friend, and it was nommed quite a bit, but the album coming out so soon maybe cooled the Academy on giving her a winning streak. Bruno Mars, a Grammy darling who has won 16 times, was shut out this year with all 3 nominations for Apatow losing. He actually opened the show performing with Rosé, and he also performed his latest chart topper, I Just Might, and I think both performances kind of proved why he broke records for selling the most tickets in one day. The man has pipes. It makes him a Grammy darling. I think he's one of the few rare male pop star staples that will never go away. I Just Might had this really cool vintage classic staging that really sold me on the upcoming album, The Romantics aesthetic, with those deep reds and the hearts. As for next year, I think he's going to be a threat to whoever is the front runner. Like, I think he's gonna try to win. The man loves winning awards. Like, he really does. Justin Bieber also blanked despite Swag being up for Album of the Year and Best Pop Vocal, as well as Daisy's being up for Best Pop Solo and Yukon for R&B. Bieber did not win any for the evening, despite Swag being this comeback record for him that was relatively successful and loved enough by the industry to get some nominations. During the show, he performed Yukon in a very stripped down manner. I mean, literally, it was just him, the instruments, and his boxers. Some people found it bizarre, others found it mesmerizing. I thought it was definitely more in line with the vision of Swag, like the aesthetics of it being an oddball, understated record that was really focused on his vocals. Despite getting quite a few nominations, Hayley Williams, nothing. Like she got nothing despite 4 nominations in the rock and alternative categories, which I think is a shame. I really loved Ego Death at a bachelorette party. I thought it was next level. It's really heartbreaking, but also kind of just not surprising considering that Williams is now an independent artist without a label who can finance splashy campaigns, so I guess being nominated was the win. What surprised me was that Alex Warren only had 1 nomination for Best New Artist, despite Ordinary being like a big summer smash. I'm not a fan of the song, like, let's get that straight. I did not like that song, but the industry itself also didn't seem to be hot on it either. I actually thought that he was up for more than one prize, so it kind of reminded me of Benson Boone's situation last year, where he was only in for Best New Artist, but Beautiful Things didn't even get a nomination for Best Pop Solo. I was also kind of mad that Lorde was completely ignored in alternative, but that's like for a nominations video that I never made. Version was amazing. I think it's underrated. Arguably, though, the biggest loser of the show wasn't even present, invited, or nominated. Nicki Minaj caught strays from Trevor Noah with a joke that got a lot of laughs from like a bunch of people in the industry about how she couldn't be there tonight because she was at the White House. Ouch. Overall, these Grammys weren't too crazy. I think it didn't really match the last 2 years in terms of controversy or even the performances, though this year was pretty solid. Like, I think the picks were just about right. I don't think anyone was really majorly snubbed. It wasn't offensive at all. I thought that all the speeches were thoughtful. So, what did you guys think? Do you guys think they got it right? And that's a wrap on a very stream of consciousness video that I made about the Grammys. I wasn't really that invested this year. I was pulling for people, but I just didn't really follow the campaigns as much as I did last year when there were like 5 or 6 different artists I love going for Album of the Year. Let me know below what you guys think about the show, and if you found it kind of weird that the performances felt a little bit light. Shout out to my members. Thank you so much for supporting this channel. Shout out to my subscribers. I love you guys. And I'm kind of sorry for taking a break. This year, there just hasn't been that much for me to cover, but I should be back in 2 weeks for the Wuthering Heights soundtrack, and then March is stacked to the brim with a bunch of releases. Let me know below what you would want me to cover, and don't forget to follow my Substack. I publish a lot of thoughts there. I just published a review for Charlie XCX's The Moment, a movie that came out early here in LA, is out next week. And yeah, I hope to see you next video.